A woman on the plane next to me kept making me check the NFL score because she didn't want to pay for the Wi-Fi I had already paid for.
Guy in yoga was literally moaning with every breath for an hour.
Well, it rained in LA last week, and now all the wooden gates around my apartment are warped and won't latch.
Can't we just get paid for keeping ourselves alive?
I think we should. Have such a good day. Bienvenidos. Nosotros amigos.
Buenos tardes.
Buenos tardes and noches. Perhaps even dias.
Yeah.
Depending on when you're watching or listening to Have Such a Good Day, which is the show that Heather and I
Have Such a Good Day in Spanish is...
ten un muy buen día.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. Ooh.
Ooh. Yeah, if anybody is better at Spanish than me, let me know what would be like the better slang, but I think that's about right. Have Such a Good Day is the show that Heather and I gleefully produce and host each week. And if you're unfamiliar with the show, we like to explain it as unpacking the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment and ours as well.
Oh, absolutely.
This is therapeutic.
Oh,
but
for
mostly
sure.
we're hoping to put a smile on your face.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is the plan. I mean, it's a universal smile we're trying to create here.
That's right. And the funny thing is about the show is that not all of our topics are smiley topics.
No, they're not.
In fact, sometimes they're kind of heavy.
But we try to put a little spin on it to make it amusing in some way. Try to turn your frown upside down, or at least turn our frowns upside down.
You know, it's one of those things where it's like you step in a puddle and sometimes it ruins your day and other times you're like, I just got to laugh at this.
You got to laugh about it.
We want you to laugh at it all.
Exactly.
Because that's what we're trying to do.
Exactly. And you know, most of the time when we're done with the show, I feel like our moods are a little better. Yeah. So that's like good proof.
Yeah.
The proof is in the pudding, Sarah.
And I think that as I'm drinking my grapefruit Spindrift, not a sponsor, by the way, but we could talk about that. I think that the feedback that we've gotten from so many of our wonderful audience members is that they feel better at the end of the show.
That's usually what people are saying. I think if they take the time to write a review, that's...
Perhaps they feel better about themselves because of our crappy lives.
Maybe so.
And
Cheers
that's
to that.
cool, too.
We have dueling sparkling waters
We got
here.
a little Spindrift and a
I got
little
a
LaCroix.
LaCroix.
So this is actually funny before we get into the show. So Spindrift I'm a big fan of. LaCroix I'm also a big fan of, but I like them for different reasons. Because Spindrift has actual juice in it.
Yeah.
So it has a trace amount of sugar. Not a lot, but a
Very
trace
little.
amount. Yeah. But if you I'm drinking out of a can, obviously, but if you pour it into a glass, there's sediment, right? This is the grapefruit flavor.
Real fruit. It tastes better.
Well, but LaCroix is good in its own way.
Oh, I love it.
I noticed you're drinking the regular.
You know,
LaCroix.
I'm kind of into the regular lately, just because sometimes the flavors are a little strong.
Yeah.
Also, I just love to crack a can. You know, I'm not a soda drinker, and I haven't been for a million years.
Yeah.
I never was a soda drinker.
No.
But I
Me either.
enjoy the cracking of a can.
Interesting.
You know, and I think that's why I like these a lot, because I personally prefer Pellegrino. I like the way the bubbles are in that water better.
Better bubbles.
Better bubbles.
Huh, who knew?
But you open one of those bottles and you got to drink it or it goes flat. But like these, you got one in a can. And
I'm not going to say
it
no
stays-
to a regular LaCroix, which is no flavor at all. But as I've mentioned before, coconut LaCroix is the shiz.
I love it too, but I wouldn't want to drink it throughout the day. Like it would be like a treat in the afternoon.
I sometimes will have like a 4.
Oh, wow. Impressive. But I do
Because-
like the coconut.
And the reason is because that's excessive, and I know it. But I'm like, I'm hydrating.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I'm drinking coconut, which is super fun.
Well, you're also drinking some kind of rat poison or whatever it is that makes their flavor. I don't even know if that whole news story just kind of went under the rug.
Oh, yeah.
But, you
I
can
don't know
add
anything about that. I'm going to keep drinking it. It tastes great.
You could add a little slice of lemon, like real lemon.
To
or
my
lime.
coconut?
No, I'm sorry, to like your regular. If you
Oh,
want to
yeah,
make it like a
of course.
flavorful thing, you could add kind of pretty much any fruit you'd like, except for watermelon, because I know how much you hate watermelon.
Ooh, watermelon
Anyway.
water has got to be.
Quick bonus topic plug
Okay.
for all of you $5 and above patrons.
Yeah. That's where our show extends after the show ends. It's very special.
It gets real special.
What is it, Heather?
It is, what would you do if you had one day left to live?
Jeez. Okay.
Okay. kind of dark.
Nice
kinda
light
dark.
topic. Okay. Well,
We like the light topics.
We've
around
all
here.
got the whole show to think about what our answer would be. So think about yours, and we'll get to that for our $5 and up patrons at the end of the show. But for now, let's talk about some funny, cool, sometimes disturbing things
from the internet.
For the next, let's say 45 minutes.
Yeah, around there. Somewhere around there.
We're anywhere between 40 and 60 minutes on average. And let's start by talking about what's been going on. I'd ask you, hey, Heather, how was your week? But I know because
we have the
you were
same
with
anecdote.
me. Yeah. We were in Mexico City for the first time for both of us, which is always so fun to me to be in a new place. I've never been before.
Totally inspiring.
I don't really have any thoughts about it necessarily. I mean, the thoughts that I had about Mexico City going into it was that I knew a lot of people who had already been. I knew the neighborhoods that they recommended, and I knew that people said, food is great, wonderful city, you're going to love it. So I felt super zen about the whole thing. And
it's a good time for Mexico City. I think it's quite trendy to visit Mexico City.
Yeah,
it's having a moment.
It's quite the spot. Yeah, CDMX.
Yeah, I like that acronym.
Mexico.
They call it.
And we were there. It was a whirlwind trip. We had to go through Houston because that's just the way that our flights ended up being. So, so it was quite a bit of travel for a short trip, but also pretty easy to do. And I would say, and Heather, please chime in with your thoughts on it as well. But I would say, first of all, Mexico City is one of the world's largest cities. We barely scratched the surface of 3 neighborhoods.
Yeah, pretty much.
Of I don't know, 100.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to say, Mexico City's great, and here's why. We were in a concentrated area. It was La Condesa Roma and Hippodromo, which are very nice, very restaurant-centric, fashionable folks, people with cute dogs. I mean,
tree-lined streets.
I mean, it was lovely. Now, clearly, any big city is going to have less lovely areas, and we didn't see any of that. And I would really like to go back and explore the larger city because it's always good to know. I don't know.
There's so much art and culture. I mean, it's kind of overwhelming how many museums there are there. There's so much to do.
Yeah.
And I think a couple days, we tried to keep it kind of simple just because we were only really there for 48 hours. It was mainly eating and walking. That was pretty much what we did.
I will tell
it was lovely.
Anyone, and maybe you all know this, and I'm just the last one to know, but anybody who's a mezcal fan, which is the cousin to tequila, but the sort of the smoky version, very popular in Mexico. You get mezcal anywhere. I had never, and this is funny because in LA and San Francisco and probably lots of other places, but certainly in California, mezcal is kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
You get mezcal bars now.
Trendy.
It's trendy. And people like it. And it's supposedly lower in sugar than vodka. So like weirdos who are on the keto diet, will drink a lot of mezcal. Not that you're weird, but it's a little bit of a weird diet. But the thing to do, at least at some places, is you get a little shot of mezcal and then you get a shot of something called sangrita. Not sangria.
It's not sweet.
It's not sweet, and it's not sangria. Sangria is a whole different thing. Sangria is like wine and fruit. This is almost like a concentrated shot of a Bloody Mary, but a little bit spicier. And the idea is to sip a little mezcal and sip a little sangrita so that your palate gets cleansed as you're eating.
It's delicious.
OMG. It was so good. I had the first one at a lunch, like a seafood lunch that we had, and the rest of the time, that's all I wanted.
I think it changed your life.
Yeah. And I just feel like, how is that not a thing I've ever even heard of before?
It's such a great invention.
When someone said sangrita, I was like, sangria.
Yeah, you're like, why are you adding a tea?
Yeah, you put a tea in there. And he was like, you're an idiot. So, anyway.
I love that. No, that's a great... And I love... I was blown away by how many Chilaquiles places there were. I mean, sure, there are Chilaquiles, and you go have brunch in Los Angeles, but
which is a breakfast dish.
Yeah, it's
I guess it doesn't have to be breakfast, but I think of it because of the eggs.
Because it's like nachos with eggs. and more saucy nachos with eggs kind of thing. But I mean, I feel like it was everywhere. And I had the best tacos of my life.
Yep.
I mean, with you, so you were there and you agreed. I think
it was truly the best tacos of my life.
I mean, really, it was,
and that's coming from somebody who eats tacos a
oh,
lot.
Yeah,
right.
definitely.
I mean, it's not as if we're not close to like great tacos. 5 steps from where we are right now.
I agree.
And yet they were the best.
I totally agree. And a lot of it has to do with like the salsas and the little accoutrements, on the table. But, one thing I felt like the neighborhood Roma reminded me a little bit of Echo Park, because there's a lot of,
Echo Park being where we are now.
Echo Park, Los Angeles. A lot of vintage shops.
Yes.
Kind of funky.
A lot of vintage.
A lot of little cafes and like little hole in the wall kind of restaurants.
And a lot of books.
A lot of books. Yeah, a lot of bookstores.
More bookstores than I would think you would just sort of stroll by taking a walk.
It's nice to see that bookstores have not died like outside of the United States, because I do love a good independent bookstore.
As do I.
And
there were enough that I was like, what's up with this town and their bookstores? Like, it's great. But you don't see that much anymore.
You really don't. And I mean, thankfully we have one in our neighborhood. But the other thing I wanted to mention is I love when I travel, I usually go out and about. I like to drink and eat and be out and, seeing the culture. I love, the culture down there is very warm, really, really friendly people, at least where we were. And I like to, when I'm at a bar or restaurant, I really love seeing people of that city, locals, having a good time, laughing and smiling. And I just really enjoy seeing other cultures party and like how they are enjoying themselves. And, just getting sort of a general like perspective from going. You could go anywhere. You could just jump in the car and go, 50 miles away and get some traveling perspective. But it's interesting nowadays, anywhere I go, I always think of other, when we were in our neighborhood in Condesa, it reminded me a little bit of like the West Village and a little bit of like Boston. Every time I go somewhere, I'm like, there's like a couple places that it reminds me of, and I notice that more and more.
Well, because you draw on the experiences that you already have.
Yeah.
There were a few. I would not say Mexico City reminds me of New York. However, there were a few blocks, that we walked down where I was like, oh my gosh, it could be.
Yeah.
It could be the West Village right now. Or
even like Paris. I think there was like one street we were on in Roma that we were like, oh God, these buildings are kind of Gothic and, it was really cool.
Absolutely beautiful. Highly recommended.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, depending on where you are in the world, it might not be as convenient as it is to us in LA, but I will be back.
Oh, for sure.
I can't wait to go back.
I know.
In
Me
fact,
too.
and discover more.
And the experience that we had in the Houston airport, I think you're going to touch on that, but that kind of blew my mind. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's funny. A friend of mine, Mike Stargirl, who lives in Houston, I had mentioned to him, he and I are on like this Slack friend group where we just talk about whatever. And he lives in Houston with his wife and his daughter, Zamora. And I said, I was in Houston airport because we connected there. I waved at you while I was, in and out. But both Heather and I remarked on how beautiful the E terminal at Houston airport was, which is where United flies in and out of. We were taking United. I mean, and this is, I've seen some nice terminals.
Sure, of course.
SFO's Terminal 2 was kind of
pretty well traveled.
It was kind of it was the bar.
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
the bar got raised when the United. Anyway, I could go on and on about airport terminals, but I do fly United when I can because that's sort of my preferred airline. So that's where we were. This was like the nicest terminal I'd ever seen. Even
I think for me too.
Even for me. And it was funny because another friend of ours, Tom, who's a patron, hello Tom.
Hey Tom.
He was like, "Oh, was it OTG EXP?" And I was like, "I don't know what that is." And he was like, "No, look it up. It's like a company that like basically it's a private contractor who goes in and makes terminals like kind of fancy, puts in iPads and whatever." So I was like, "What? I don't know." So I looked it up, and sure enough,
it was the thing.
Our terminal was OTG.
How cool!
It's OTGEXP.com, and you can see a little bit more about what they're doing. But yeah, the idea is airports have historically been shitty food,
Yeah.
shitty coffee. Everyone's unhappy.
Yep.
Carpet's bad.
Awful.
You don't like to be there.
No.
You eat there if you have to.
Yeah.
Or if your flight's delayed.
And then you feel terrible after because the food was
yeah,
so
like
disgusting.
you're having a bad time.
Yeah.
So this company goes in and obviously somebody's got to pay for it, right? Which is the airline.
Mm-hmm.
But there are iPads and silver knives and forks and cool seats that are comfortable
Where you can plug
and
in
lots of
your-
power
Yeah,
outlets.
yeah, I love
and so Heather and I had enough time on our layover on our way back to have a bite to eat, and sure enough, it was like this seamless, lovely experience. The food was good, and I don't know. I love you, OTG.
Me
Please,
too, man.
Please make this a global experience, and I think we're getting there.
I totally agree. I agree. And it's funny, I felt less wiped out when I got back because of that. Because, you have like a nice dining experience, and you get to chill and relax and it's comfortable. And, that you swipe your card on this little iPad. There's people behind the bar. There's like waiters and stuff, but you mostly don't have to deal with them. They kind of ask how your food is, and it's nice to have a person there and it's not totally personless.
Right.
However, you mostly just deal with this iPad and it's so nice, and you want to order another glass of wine.
Right.
You just
it's just a few clicks. Well, and how many people have been at an airport, like you're having your chilaquiles, right? And you got, half an hour before your flight starts boarding. And then at the time where you're like, well, now I have to really get up and leave.
Yeah.
I don't know where the server is.
Yeah,
and then
totally.
it turns into this thing where you're like, I need
That's a
my
great
bell
point.
right now. And it's happened to me so many times. And this just takes all that friction
because you already
out.
paid. It's like an Uber.
You already
paid.
paid.
It's so nice to get out of an
Exactly.
Uber and not have to deal with going through your purse with the taxi and.
So I
dealing
wanted
with
to
all that.
open it up to everyone else. If you've been to Terminal E at the Houston International Airport, tell me if I'm crazy that that's not the nicest terminal you've ever been in.
kind
If
of the
there's one
best.
that's better, let me know and I will fly there.
I mean, hey man, Sarah, next time you go on a trip, you might want to consider doing a connecting flight through Houston, even if you don't have to.
just to have a teriyaki chicken bowl like I had the other day, which was really
Yeah,
good.
Totally. That's awesome. I'm so glad we talked about that because that
Are
really
you,
really inspired me too. So if
Yeah.
you didn't bring it up, I would have brought it up. But-
Good.
So I was kind of inspired. I know we've talked about this a million times before, but I had I read this interesting article on Man Repeller, and this one of these like writers was they were kind of comparing notes on freelancing versus like full-time work, and you and I talk about this a lot. This is like something we've done both of, and there's like so many pros and cons. And today I had a really hard time getting started. I kind of got up and I didn't shower quite yet. I don't know if this happens to you, but if like I don't get up, shower, brush my hair, brush my teeth, get to my desk,
Then the day
I
starts
start
slipping.
to derail.
Yeah.
It's really weird, and it happened to me today where I didn't shower for like hours, and then I realized I didn't. And then when I showered, I actually got really motivated. I got like a spark of inspiration after showering, and when
clean.
in doubt, have a shower
It's
and
true.
brush your teeth.
No, it's true.
I'm serious. And brush your hair even.
It's
I mean,
true.
really, it made a huge difference. But it's funny. So this quote I thought was funny. So this writer says, the thing is, life is hard and then you die, and various things can make life easier. Good friends, good partner, a job you like, a routine you like. But having a job that doesn't stress you out so much, but makes it so that you don't have to work weekends. And you can leave work at work, and we have a different situation right now. We have work kind of around the clock. Like you're always saying, what are you doing this weekend? I got to work. So I love the idea of designing my own days. I love, that's a wonderful feeling. But I feel like there's more cons to freelancing, at least the new list that I made today.
Okay.
I feel like pros, obviously freedom. Midday grocery shopping or maybe a matinee, you have that like flexibility. You set your own schedule. You do things when other people are at work. But, honestly, the cons are, the hustle is serious, like the hustle can be really debilitating.
There's a low grade anxiety
Always.
all the time.
And guilt because you're like not working. And so you're
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and then you always feel like you're not doing enough, even though all day you're on your computer, like furiously, like doing a million things. But I thought this was an interesting fact. By 2020, 43% of the U.S. workforce will be freelance, which I thought was interesting. And some of that has to do...
That's right around the corner.
I know.
Okay.
And, apparently millennials have a stronger preference for freelance, which is a huge part of it. But we'll see. I just think that's a very interesting... That's almost 50%. That's pretty huge. Makes me feel less alone. I will say this fact makes me feel a little better. But the constant guilt... I almost feel busier as a freelancer because you're constantly... You're always... Your to-do list is so... It sort of like eats you alive. But, I really miss matriculating with coworkers. I feel envious when like the world goes back to work, in a way.
Interesting.
In a weird way. I mean, sometimes when we got back from our trip on Sunday, I was pretty stoked that like Monday I could just like clean the house and do my laundry and kind of get back into the rhythm. But I felt very guilty all day, that like I'm not going into the office.
Well, it was MLK Day, so
This is
lots
true.
of people were.
This is true.
But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's funny, and we'll talk about Patreon a little bit more in a second, but for anybody who's not familiar, there's an annual conference that goes on called PatreCon. And I went with a couple other colleagues earlier this year, and there were lots of interesting talks and good advice from our fellow Patreon content creators. And one of them was, we won't even talk about who it was. The advice was, and this is somebody who was fairly had done well.
Sure.
Patreon had proved lucrative for him. Was like, first thing you do, don't work from home. Get yourself an office, figure it out. I'm telling you, it's the best advice I can give you. And, of course, I roll my eyes immediately where I'm like, well, I do work from home. Getting an office outside of working from home would cost money. Then I'd have to do something with my dog. That's not going to work for me. But I took it with not a grain of salt, but I understood what he meant. And what he meant was, for him, and I think a lot of people, there's so much self-discipline that has to go into making this all work when you have nobody kind of looking over your shoulder being like, it's 11 and you haven't gotten in the shower yet? Have you eaten breakfast? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you not working that hard today? Like, we are held accountable by being around our peers.
Yep.
And when that gets stripped away, you feel kind of like you're getting away with something. But again, there's that guilt thing.
Absolutely.
And so what I decided to do with his advice was not be like, oh, I have to get an office outside of the house, because I podcast from home. Working from home actually works super well for me. It would be way harder not to. But I realized that what his advice is if you work inside your house, you're going to be distracted by your spouse or your pets or, being in your pajamas because you can. And there's all these things that you have to, get up in the morning and be like, okay, it's not my house anymore. This is my office.
Exactly.
Take a shower. Put on some clothes that
like street clothes
would even look office-y.
Absolutely.
Perhaps.
I actually agree.
Sit up straight. Do your shit.
Yeah.
Act like you're at the office.
I know. My big motivation, because I've been, I have this detached garage that's actually kind of a nice-ish small space, but it's detached from my house. It's about, 15, 20 feet.
Yeah, it's right there, but it's not part of your...
But, that could be a really good, at least, because I don't go in there otherwise. It needs a lot of... I need to homey it up because it is still cold and dirty. And anyway, my big task for the weekend is to... I tried to go in there this morning. It was cold. It was uncomfortable. And so I set up a desk in my house. But
no space heater is going to...
I tried. It didn't really work. But I think when the weather gets better, maybe in the winter and the summer, it might be a little tricky.
It's going to be pretty hot.
It's going to be, I think the heat is going to be worse than the cold.
You're going to have a great spring, though, in there,
I'm
man.
telling you, spring and fall.
You're going to office it out.
It's like New York. Those slivers of time that it's nice to live in New York.
Heather's
It'll be nice to be in my office.
This is the best in April.
Anywho, I'll keep you posted on that.
Please do. Hey, so we mentioned Patreon, and for anybody who's gotten this far and is like, what's Patreon? Most of you know, but for those who don't, we will recap for you. Have Such a Good Day is completely community oriented. It is completely community supported. We love all of you, and the way that we are supported is through Patreon, which is a platform that allows our audience to be part of the show, to have you are investors in the show. You are shareholders, if you will.
They are, definitely.
Patreon.com/have such a good day is the mothership of ours. HaveSuchAGoodDay.com is our website, so that you can get to Patreon either way. But if you want to check out some of our goals, which are called milestones, which is if we get a certain amount of patrons / money, we can expand the show. We can do more episodes. We can make our video a little bit more exciting.
We really want to get to 2 episodes a week. That would be really ideal.
Yeah,
and we're not that far off.
We're not. In fact,
maybe you guys can help us.
Yes, that would be that is our absolute first milestone. Is if we get to a point where and this is $2,000 a month. It's split between Heather and I, and you get taxes out. It's like, okay,
it's not a ton. It's a small chunk of change.
Sure,
but,
we feel it's fair, and let us know if it isn't. But we feel it's fair. We would love to have the feedback that lets us know that people want more content.
We would just want feedback.
We would do that in a heartbeat.
You know what I'll do in a
heartbeat? You just know that.
If we get to $2,000 a month, I will take off my sweats and I will take a shower the first thing in the morning. And
oh God, I thought you were gonna be like, I'm gonna take my pants off and show you.
All right.
That's actually what you do when you shower. So okay. Anyway, patreon.com/have such a good day. Please do
read our stuff.
Yeah, we've got a whole thing there. If you haven't perused it, we'd love it if you did. Give us some feedback.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. And thank you so much to everyone who is already a patron. At any level, you make the show what it is. We couldn't do it without you.
We could not do it without you.
And
at all.
We are so appreciative. 100%. And, if I wasn't modest, I'd flash you. That's how much I care.
You're so modest, Sarah.
Right?
That's like the first thing I would say about you.
Yeah, what's Sarah like? Very modest.
Super modest, like really uptight.
Yeah, just very reserved.
Yeah, super.
Doesn't talk a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, kind of mute. What's Sarah like? She's great. She's kind of mute.
She's a blonde mute girl who
a mime. She's like that, but like without all the good stuff. She just kind of sits there without talking.
But she doesn't use her hands that much either.
Have we talked about my hatred of mimes?
Yes, I know this. I've known you for so long that I am definitely aware of that.
Yeah, Heather and I talk about the same things over and over, so maybe we've talked about mimes on the show, maybe we haven't, I don't know.
We're a couple of repeato girls.
I'm a mime hater. I'm not a clown hater, and I know people hate clowns.
I thought you didn't like clowns.
I don't like them necessarily. I'm not like, yay, clowns. But, some people are like afraid of them or find them creepy. It's like, I don't know. Clowns are clowns. Mimes, I don't like.
Yeah.
And if you're a mime, I am so sorry.
And in a nutshell,
I'm sure
why
you're a
do you
nice
like them?
person. I don't like the whole. They're and the white face and the gloves.
She's miming a mime right now.
I'm miming a mime. Yeah.
For
anybody
you
who's
listeners.
not like, I don't know. I'm like, I would do anything but this as a job.
I actually met Marcel Marceau once. And I saw like a live show. It was really trippy. It was weird. It was very bizarre. Anyway.
It's sort of one of those things where I hate it because I don't understand it. Not because I find it offensive.
Yeah, like who came up with it?
Why
in the
is
beginning
a
of time,
mime a thing?
Why is it a thing?
And why are you always in a glass box of some kind? It's always like, ooh, where am I?
Actually, that would be a fun Wikipedia page to explore. Like, who came up with the miming? When did it first begin?
I would have done some research had I known we'd go into a mime wormhole. We'll do that next week, I suppose. Yeah, we'll do a little mime research
if we
for everybody.
Remember.
Which is again, that's so. Somebody in our Discord, by the way, for $10 and up patrons per month. You're part of our Discord where we all chat with each other and give each other nice
high
advice
fives,
and high
virtual
five
high fives.
Kind of talk about life, and it's super fun. If you're not familiar with Discord, get in there.
We talk almost every day. It's an ongoing conversation about all kinds of things.
All sorts of stuff.
Sometimes Sarah and I have to dip out here and there, and sometimes on the weekend it's a little more mellow, but it's kind of around the clock.
It is. So Anyway.
And people are from around the world too. We've got people in different time zones and stuff.
And perhaps you have mime stories of your own, and I want to hear them. But let's move on to Spotify. Heather, I know you're a Spotify user.
Oh, yeah.
I'm an Apple Music user. They're one and the same, really. They're pretty much exactly the same. But Spotify, I thought that was kind of interesting, is going to let you block artists.
I saw this. Super interesting.
Automatically through curated playlists like Discover Weekly, which is very popular, I know, for the Spotify crowd, daily mixes, and global charts. This is currently limited as a test on iOS, so it's not for everybody. If you're not using iOS, it's probably not going to happen, although I assume it'll roll out soon. However, here's a little twist, because of course, I read this and I was like, ooh, okay, who would I block, right? Like, I use Apple Music, but okay, so like who would I block if there was an artist that I wanted to block? And my first thought was Chris Brown. Hate that guy.
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly would be another. All right, we're a bit of a theme here.
Yeah.
And herein lies the rub, Heather.
Okay.
You can't block somebody who's featured on a song. You can only block them if they're the marquee name on a song. Now, when you get into hip hop and R&B to some extent, you get a lot of, Cardi B featuring Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Now, I just made that up, but you know what I mean? Like, so that's not going to be filtered out.
Okay.
But if it was a Chris Brown track featuring Cardi B, then it would. The idea is, there are lots of, even if you like a certain genre of music, you like indie music, I don't know, pick any kind of music, there's always going to be that band where you're like, God, I hate this band.
Yeah.
It's not so much that you hate the song, you hate the whole band.
Sure.
Vampire Weekend was that for me some time ago.
You just didn't get
I got
into
to
it.
the point where I'm like, I never want to hear them.
Totally.
No offense to Vampire Weekend.
Or vampires.
No, or that. I never wanted them to be part of like my Pandora station.
No, I agree with you. I have some bands that
you kind of thumbs down, but it's like, what if you could just block them entirely? That'd be more helpful.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I'm trying to think of another example, like beyond the ones that we mentioned. But I know what you're saying. Like, there's that one band that comes in the rotation to. Oh, I have a good one.
Okay.
Well, this is actually on Sirius, so I listen to First Wave a lot. The '80s channel on Sirius.
Sure.
They play way too much U2 and way too much Police. And I'm not it's not like I hate those bands. Not my favorite though. I never was a big U2 fan. I sort of want to skip over it, but I can't, so I have to get off the channel.
Well, yeah, right. Well, yeah, okay. First of all, I'm like, oh my God, how do you not like 80s U2, Heather? What the hell happened?
I do like it. It's just not
80s
not
U2 is actually
totally
the only U2 that I
favorite.
like.
I mean, I love Sunday Bloody Sunday and kind of ends there.
Wonderful song.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's funny because once I thought about, okay, well, who would I block? Like my first, again, Chris Brown. Hate that guy. Hate his face. Hate everything about him. But there are also other bands like, okay, the Eagles. I don't hate the Eagles. I grew up listening to the Eagles. My parents loved the Eagles. I hate the song Hotel California.
It's just overplayed.
Hate it. Want it to die. Hate it. But I like the Eagles, so this would not be a band that I would block.
Yeah.
I don't want to block them if I'm listening to some like 70s yacht rock.
Totally.
But I want to hear that song.
Yeah.
But this is more of like, if you truly hate an artist, you just hate them.
Then why can't you block a song?
You can. No. That's you can already do that.
Okay.
This is just giving you a little bit more. If you're doing a lot of like that playlist stuff, where you're like, I like this genre of music, but you keep hearing this artist where you're like, this playlist was so great until I heard this bum, then you can at least get them out of there.
I love it, Sarah. I'm totally into this. So I figured we kind of have to talk about the Oscar nominations because they just came out.
I mean, you say that as if like I don't want to.
I know you want to, and I figured it would be a really good discussion between us.
Totally,
because we both are very excited. And I I'm not going to go through all the noms, but I figure maybe some
nom.
maybe some some sort of surprises, some interesting little tidbits. So I think it's definitely interesting that Netflix has gotten their first Oscar nomination with Roma, which we expected would happen.
Yep.
Plus the lead actress Yalitza Aparicio.
Oh,
and
Cleo. I love Cleo.
I know. And the supporting actress, Marina de Tavira.
Was she the mom?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, must
Yes,
be, right?
yeah.
Those are the two main
Yeah,
actresses.
exactly.
Wow.
I know.
How about you, Roma?
Big effing deal.
I mean, Cleo is my spirit animal.
I know.
I love her so much.
She's so wonderful, and she just, oh my gosh, I just want to hug her. She's adorable. Big surprise for me was I thought for sure Bradley Cooper was going to get a director nom. He did get Best Actor nom, but he did not get a Best Director nom, which maybe because it's his debut as a director.
And this is for A Star Is Born.
Yes.
For anybody who hasn't seen it, the movie may or may not be your cup of tea, but man, that was a great directorial debut.
Incredible. And he acted in it, and he directed himself.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it was quite a feat.
and also, I mean, I feel like, he did so much to transform into that character. He had to really deepen his voice and, all the music, on the stage. That sort of surprised me. Also, Best Editing, it didn't get, which I think was sort of a shoo-in. Everyone thought it would be. Two movies that I thought they would get something. 8th Grade didn't get anything. I know you really liked that movie.
I did. It was one of my favorite movies of the year.
And Hereditary, it was definitely a pretty messed up horror movie. But Toni Collette that woman she just made that movie so.
Toni Collette is good.
So
in
good,
everything.
and I feel like she should have.
This is not a movie
nominated.
I've seen because again, scary.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna like it.
Right. I haven't even seen that Sandra Bullock movie where everybody's wearing.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
The handkerchiefs
You
on their
mean
faces.
the Bird Box, yeah.
Bird Box, right? I'm just all I know is the memes where I'm I don't know.
I always think
never gonna
when,
watch that movie.
when movies come out like that, with names like Bird Box, I'm always just running out of names. It's that name's taken, that name's taken.
Bird Box.
I mean, there is a reference to it. There is something in there that is an actual Bird Box, but still, Black Panther. I know it was a good movie, but I wasn't gaga over it. But I guess Ryan Coogler, who directed it, people are kind of upset that he didn't get a nom. They did get.
I would agree. That's. I mean, that was huge phenomenon. It's strange to me that it would have been snubbed.
They've been talking about him all year being nominated, but the production designer, this Hannah Beachler, was the first African-American nominated in her field, which is pretty cool.
For production design. You know what, Hannah? I'm rooting for you.
I know, seriously. And then Timothy Chalamet, who we know kind of was a total scene stealer in his movie last year. What is it?
I don't even know who Timothy Chalamet is.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Oh, no, it was oh my God, I loved this movie so much. It was.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The Italian.
Yeah,
one.
the Italian one. Why am I blanking on that? Oh, the
Call Me by My Name.
Call Me by Your Name. I always want to say When a Stranger Calls, but it's because it's a sentence.
It's different.
Call Me by Your Name.
Call Me by My Name.
Yeah, Call Me by My Name.
My Name.
Yes.
Oh, he was the younger one. The brunette.
Yeah, and
you liked the movie more than I did. But
loved it. Anyway.
Well, what's he in?
So he was in the movie with Boy Erased, or was that? No, it's the other one. The Boy, Beautiful Boy. I think you saw it.
Yeah.
Didn't
oh my God.
It?
He was the beautiful boy.
Yeah.
I watched
Call
it the
Me
other
by
night.
Your Name, by the way.
Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he didn't get nominated.
I did. Well, that doesn't surprise me too much. Great movie. Steve Carell. Oh my gosh. He's so funny.
Yeah.
But he's so lovable. And in this movie,
really
and I don't want to
is.
spoil it. I mean, it's a well-known book, so I'm probably not spoiling anything. But the premise is that Steve Carell is the dad, and Mr. Tim is the son who has a drug addiction. And it's just kind of this sort of heart-wrenching, how a parent deals with something like this.
Oh, yeah.
Where, your child is super off the rails and they can't stop it, and everyone feels bad, and it's really hard on families. This movie was very touching. Very Steve Carell has never been better than he was in this movie. At the same time, I'm not sure that I would say that Timothy Chalamet would get a nod. It was more of a Steve Carell movie
role.
to me.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting.
I don't know.
I gotta see it.
If you want to argue with me, please do so. I liked the movie a lot, even though I found it really hard to watch.
Yeah.
I as a non-parent, I can't imagine kind of how that stuff goes. but it still resonated with me. Like that's how good it was.
Yeah.
I was like, God,
Okay,
I feel like
I gotta watch that. I gotta
Yeah,
watch it.
I think you'd really like it.
Okay. The last thing I wanted to mention is that usually when a film gets nominated for editing, that is considered kind of like a key, milestone to get a Best Picture award. And I feel like it's between Roma and The Favorite. I mean, those are my two favorite movies of the year for Best Picture.
And what about Bohemian Rhapsody?
I haven't seen it yet. But I haven't heard.
Because it got the Golden Globe.
Well, I heard that he was great, the lead actor.
He is.
But I heard the movie was kind of like lackluster. But I don't know. I got to see it for myself to even,
I watched it. It was very good.
Yeah. Do you think it's Best Picture
material?
Rami Malek.
Rami Malek is super transformative. Looks just like him.
Yep.
Kind of crazy. Did a great job, Rami. He's I think he's from Sherman Oaks, actually.
He's a good friend of Alison Haislip's.
Oh, how about that? Who
Dropping names.
Who we've worked with in the past.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know.
All right, well, we'll see. I have a little bit of catching up to. I've seen most of the movies, but
I want to hear your thoughts. I thought it was a great movie, and there were definitely some Freddie Mercury facts I didn't know. But mostly, I mean, if we're talking about musical movies, A Star Is Born was more entertaining to me.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's hard to compare the two, right? It's a biopic versus a fictional
Well, I'll watch
story.
it this weekend, and I'll slack you about it. But you guys also should let us know what you're thinking about all these Oscar nominations. You should email us early and often at hi@havesuchagoodday.com. We miss hearing from you. We
Where have you been?
We're very lonely.
Email us.
So please email us.
hi@havesuchagoodday.com. Couldn't be easier. In fact, if you don't email us, we're going to be very offended.
We're going to be very upset, and we're going to cry.
We're going to cry a lot. You want to see a couple 40-something women cry? I don't think so.
Hey, man, you speak for yourself, 40-something.
Yeah, you're right. And I was just rounding up. We're 29. Forever.
All right, so I think this show is about to come to an end here, Sarah.
I think
we
are
going
to put a fork in ourselves because we are done. Thank you to everyone who supports us. Speaking of support for you $5 and up patrons, there's more to
Stick
come.
around.
For everybody else, we'll see you next week. I'm Sarah.
I'm Heather.
And have such a good day.
Bye.